Had a really good idea for a script. Okay, this is like a really good idea. Right, coming right from Herby land. Check this out. So I was thinking of the Silence of the Lambs with Clarice, right? So this is a whole different story. This is really cool though. It's an FBI agent lady who she goes deep, deep undercover on a dating site, a really kind of slinky dating site, because the government is scared that this guy is going to start a coup to overthrow the government. And he's from the South. So he's like, David Koresh fan, he was, Timothy McVeigh kind of, he's not like completely stereotyped fake where he likes Timothy McVeigh or that he particularly likes David Koresh, but he feels what happened with David Koresh was wrong. He kind of supports, gun ownership and all this kind of stuff. A little like Deborah Winger's character with Tom Berenger movie that covered like infiltrating the KKK or something like that kind of thing. But this is like, he's not KKK. That's the thing. He's just thinks the government needs to be restructured. So he's kind of like a young rising dictator kind of character. I don't want to put any names. I don't want to say any dictator characters, but he wants to restructure the government. So he creates this thing called the Invisible People, where they have no uniforms. They have no salute, but they know what needs to be done, right? So they're called the Invisible People because their army is invisible. And a lot of the soldiers and stuff like that don't even have guns, so that they can't get busted. Because David Koresh, the reason why they busted him is because he actually was trading assault rifles on the black market. And so this is kind of what this film is about, but it's also a love story. So the FBI agent goes way deep undercover and gets on this like site like Plenty of Fish or whatever. She gets on this site, and eventually, because he's a filmmaker and he's a genius, he basically realizes that she is FBI, that she's a real method. She's like a method actress kind of thing almost, and she's from the North because they do the scene with like a beach ball, and she's kind of drunk, and she says, "Oh, give me the ball." The way she says ball, it sounds like a Yankee. And so he starts thinking, is she FBI? And she turns out she's deep undercover FBI. And she falls in love with him in a way, and they end up having a kid. But the thing is the only way that she can stay with him, and she's kind of like a Clarice Starling's character, like in Silence of the Lambs, but she's deep undercover. But the only way she can stay with this like David Koresh kind of crazy character, he's like a made-up character, is if she has a child with him. It's kind of like one other story. It's not a comedy though. It's a drama. I haven't really came up with a title yet, but I did come up with a song called Something New, and then there's the mention of a coup in it. One flew over the coup, right? Meaning one found out about it, and so this guy who is like this, he's kind of like a hero to the country of the South, because the Civil War is mentioned, but it's set in modern day. And eventually what happens in it, it's kind of like a little Handmaid's Tale, in the fact that the government really gets overthrown by this invisible army. And what ends up happening over a period of a week in the movie, it's like almost, it's not really sci-fi, but in the movie what ends up happening is in 1 week, every state trooper across the nation in all 50 states is taken out, like the night of the long knives. And it happens over a period of about a week, and they're like, they don't wake up in the morning. If you realize what happened in the 1940s, when a certain dictator came to reign in Germany, he called for the night of the long knives when he was under reign, because of a restructuring of the government. So like every single state trooper is taken out over a period of a week or something like that. Anyway, what ends up happening with them two is they become kind of like, like a married couple, and they start like a family and restructure America. It's about a restructuring of America. I was looking at like crazy films like Gray State, which never became a film, and I know that was a horrible tragedy. I saw the documentary of that on Netflix. Horrible tragedy. That guy flipped out, and he tried to actually do it. And I thought, I would never even approach this without a massive budget, because he didn't have a massive budget, and the thing was just, it went to hell. It was just completely stupid. I mean, if you try to do something like Handmaid's Tale or restructuring government film, kind of like Red Dawn was that same thing, you need quite a bit of money. I mean, you need a lot of money to do it. But I don't know what the title would really be. I don't know if I have a title for it. Maybe, The Invisible People. So it'd be called The Invisible People. But there has to be a date, a concrete date. And also there would have to be, there'd be characters that would go by state troopers' houses, and they would film their house and get their address on public file, and they would post it as state troopers address, blah, blah, because all state troopers addresses are on public file. All police officers' addresses are on public file. So it's about an overthrow of the government of the United States of America, but it's set kind of in the distant future. Like, let's say, I don't know, it begins in December of 2023, right before Christmas. About a week before Christmas is kind of like the night of the invisible people. These elves come right before Christmas, and the invisible people are actually dressed up as elves that night. Something elvish they're wearing. It could be like a silver leaf around their neck. It could be a green shirt that says elf on it or something, but they all wear something elf. But here's the thing, though. It's got to be very, 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 very low key. And they're called the Invisible People. It's like an invisible army almost. But they're really well known. I'm basing it a little bit on the Deborah Winger and Tom Berenger movie where she goes undercover in that. Deborah Winger goes undercover with Tom Berenger. I cannot think of that movie. It was called Betrayal or something like that. But anyway, I think it would be a great movie. The only thing is, I don't think I would try to tackle it without at least 10 or 20 million dollars and at least one star, but it'd be a futuristic movie, and it would be set in 2023 or something like that, like 3 years from now. Like, everything's gotten bad with COVID and the government is restructuring, and so they start to accumulate, or they start to create this invisible army, and it's a militia from the South that do it. They're from the southern states. It has a little bit of a Terminator feel, little bit of, I guess it's called Betrayal, with Deborah Winger and Tom Berenger, whatever that film was called. It's kind of a restructuring of the government movie, like a coup movie or whatever.